So firstly, let's explore the power of personal stories. Sharing your experiences can captivate your audience and make your messages more memorable. All right. Sorry, let me get to this one. This is our agenda. All right, so tell me about yourself is your compelling story. I'm also having to let people in the room, so forgive me if I'm pausing every now and then. All right. So firstly, we'll explore the power of your personal stories. Sharing your experiences can captivate your audience and make your message more memorable. All right, so formulating your response is whether it's a job interview, a meeting, or a casual conversation, having a well-structured response is key. And we'll cover the techniques to organize your thoughts and express yourself clearly. And then we're going to base our responses using the STAR method. The structured method approach helps you communicate your experiences and achievements in a concise and compelling manner. And we'll also break down each component. And then lastly, I'm going to give you a reminder to stop talking when you presented your STAR method structured response. It's a crucial aspect of communication, knowing when to stop talking. Keeping your message concise ensures that your audience stays engaged and retains the key points that you've just provided. Adding unnecessary details can actually work against you by diluting the responses and key points that you just gave. All right, so let's see here. All right, so let's tackle this. Tell me about yourself is arguably the most common, and it's not a question, it's a prompt that interviewers ask and one that causes anxiety to many. And I think it's because we all seem to think that it's an icebreaker, and it's not, right? It's an opportunity for you to convey how your skills and your experiences align with the needs of the organization. The key is decoding what the employer is looking for in the job posting. Identify the problem that they want to solve, and then that way you can position yourself as part of the solution that they are seeking. And then before you even step into the interview, study the job posting for true understanding. What challenge is the organization facing? What skills and qualities are they seeking in an ideal candidate? And by identifying these aspects, you can tailor your responses to highlight how you align with their needs. And then this also keeps you focused on your professional self. And then this way you're able to kind of navigate or prevent yourself from navigating into a more personal question should that arise. Okay. All right. So let's look at the next step here. Okay, so now we're going to talk about telling them your story. Okay, start with a concise overview of your professional background. Focus on your experience that directly relate to the job requirements. And then you connect the dots between your experiences, your education, the knowledge you've acquired, the training that you've taken, and then sometimes how large your network is worth mentioning. And then this gives the employer an overview of the actual value that you're going to be bringing to their organization. I mean, it's not uncommon that when they see if you have a solid network, that they can see how big of an asset you can be to their organization. All right, so how do we formulate our responses, right? The question, tell me about yourself, or the prompt, tell me about yourself, is your chance to position yourself as the solution to the employer's needs. It gives you the opportunity to tailor your responses to showcase your skills, your experience, and the achievements in a way that directly address their challenges and what they need to overcome. And so you can do this by giving examples describing your previous successes in the earlier roles. And you can share how you helped your previous employer improve by showing them what your career wows. I call them career wows. How you have succeeded in your role. This gives them a peek as to what you will be bringing to their organization. So before going into the interview, be sure that you know your value. What exactly are you bringing to the table? Do you have a full understanding of the job description and what they're looking for? These are really important because then you can speak point by point to what they're looking for. Okay? All right, so let's break this down. The STAR method. All right, I'm sure you've all heard this before. You know what these letters stand for. So for some of you, this is just going to be an overview. And for some of you, this might be the first time. So let's break this down. S stands for situation. This is where you set the stage to provide the context for your story. Again, we're going back to that. We are storytelling. And this is, you start by providing a concise overview of the situation, right? Let me step back a little bit. I want to make sure that you all understand that when you go into an interview, you anticipate some of the questions that's going to be asked of you. The most common types of questions today are situational or behavioral. Usually starts off with, tell us about a time when, right? They want to get into how you think, how you analyze things. So going into an interview, you want to make sure that you have examples already that you've structured and practiced, and that's going to be in your back pocket when it comes up. All right. And then you use the STAR method to structure your responses. All right. Having said that, let's move forward. STAR. S stands for situation, where you set the stage by providing the context of your story. What was the context or scenario that you were in? Right? Set the stage of your story to give the interviewer a clear understanding of what you're about the story that you're about to unfold. All right, so this is the opportunity where you can demonstrate your methodical thinking and your organization, right? Because you're organizing your story. T is for the task where you're going to outline the specific challenges or goal that you were faced with. What were you asked to accomplish, right? And be specific about the goals and the expectations that were set in front and ahead of you. What were you supposed to solve? What this section does is it will allow you to demonstrate your systematic thought process, analytical skills, and sound judgment. So each of these little sections have a purpose. And by understanding what that purpose is, you're able to craft the right response. A is for action. This is where you detail the steps that you took to address the situation or the task. And this is where you can actually shine, because now you're showing them how you stepped up forward to solve the problem that was in front of you. Describe the steps you took to resolve or improve the situation. What actions did you personally take? And if applicable, include some of the challenges that you had to overcome. Now remember, you're telling a story, so don't gloss over the challenges. I mean, this is not something you want to gloss over, because if your previous employer brought it to you, something needed to be done. And so you're using this as an example to show how you overcame the problem that they assigned to you. So this is your opportunity to show the potential employer your capabilities, your abilities, your knowledge, your skills. You pull everything in to solve these problems. And that is your way of conveying that you are the right candidate for this position. So you want to focus on your role and the skills that you applied. And then R is for the results, where you highlight the outcomes and the impact of your actions. And where possible, give them details. If you were able to fix a problem and the solution created an improvement in cost savings, in productivity, use numbers to convey your success, because numbers are very, very impactful. And this is your chance to show the interviewer exactly how much value they will gain by bringing you in as an employee. And then once you've structured your and presented your response to tell me about yourself, here's a reminder that you must stop speaking, okay? Whoops, I'm going backwards here, sorry about that. Okay, where you stop speaking, because now you've presented your information. The interviewer now has to process the information that you just gave. And what that will do is it will open up conversations more about the specific situation that you fixed, you solved. And so whatever you bring into the discussion could open up new topics of conversation. But the good thing is it's all about your success. If you focus your response to your success, most of the questions that they're going to be asking is about your success. So you're keeping them focused on your qualifications and that you're a strong, solid candidate for the position that they have. All right, so that in a nutshell is how you navigate the tell me about yourself question. If you, does anyone have any question or any other question during an interview that is more of a challenge than anything? Please put those questions in the chat. We'll try to tackle them. And of course, if you are looking for one-on-one coaching, career coaches are always available to our students and graduates. As a graduate, you have lifetime access to career services. We don't email the copy of the slides. What we do is we put this on our Career Services YouTube channel. Some of you probably don't know that we have a YouTube channel. This is where we put all of our recorded webinars. So if you go onto YouTube and search for APUS Career Services, you will find all of the webinars that we've done. Has this been helpful to you? Give me some feedback on this. I know this is the STAR method. We often is a common topic that we present because it's so simple, but it's something that if you master, you should be able to get through any interview. All right, so I have a question from Ricardo. How do you navigate why we should hire you or why you are the best candidate at the end of the interview? Okay, I like that question. It goes back to the same information as you presented here. If you have a true understanding of the position that they're trying to fill, you've already outlined the skills, the relevant skills and experience that is a match to their position, you can formulate your questions using examples of of your career wows, as I had put it. If you've identified the problem, you're a match to their solution. All you have to do now is show them that this is not anything new to you. You have experience in bringing success to an organization based on this XYZ skills that you have, and that you recognize very similarly that they are challenged similarly as your previous employer. So this is something that you are very familiar with, something to along those veins. Okay. Let's see what else here. Excellent. I'm glad that you're finding this helpful. Okay, so this is the nervous part of the interview. Yes, it is. But again, when somebody says, tell me about yourself, just knowing that they're not breaking, it's not an icebreaker. It's not a casual thing. Be prepared to answer that, because I don't know if I've ever gone into a job interview where that was not asked. That is the most common thing. And here's the thing. A lot of times the people who are interviewing you are not professional interviewers. Some of them don't even know what exactly they're looking for. So your goal is to give them what they need to have. And I always say, your job, your only job, is to help them understand how to hire you. What do they need to know in order to understand you're the right candidate for the job? And the same thing goes with your employer. Okay? I'm sorry, your resume. I was reading somebody else's comment. Your resume. I always say your resume is not about you. Your resume is about what the employer needs to know in order to understand how to hire you. Okay? All right, so let me go back and see what else is on the chat here. All right, here we go. Jeff, got guilty of speaking too much, okay? the STAR method, the process is, if you keep the structure, stay on point, it solves the problem of, oh my gosh, where do I start? What do I include? And when do I stop? Once you've framed your story and this under the STAR method structure, you know where to start, what to include, and to stop. Because again, if you remember, adding unnecessary details can dilute what you just explained to them, because now you're moving on a tangent towards something else. Keep the focus on your success. Okay. I know the natural thing to do is connect with them. You're connecting with them by telling them you are the solution to their problem. Okay. All right. I read that you should smile a lot. I think you should be in a good, positive mood, right? There's a formality to this, right? There's a certain formality, just like the picture that we see on the screen. He is smiling. He is friendly. Be appropriate when you smile. You don't want to be smiling all the way through, because then, it begs the question, why was this person smiling so much? We weren't saying anything funny. And that falls under judgment, right? Use good judgment. All right, I saw somebody's hand come up, but then it dropped. So let me continue in the chat here. Let's see. Danielle says, I often struggle with questions that ask something about a time when I wasn't my best in a role. One particular question is, tell me about a time when you weren't tolerant of others. How would you recommend approaching and phrasing answers to questions like this? Okay, I think this question kind of overlaps. Tell me about yourself and what is your weakness? That's, I think, well, this overlaps that. This question overlaps those two. I want to break it up into two answers. Tell me about yourself, we've just covered, right? You want to tell me about a time when you weren't tolerant of others. Structure it like a STAR method, but choose an example where okay, let me step back. Companies are always looking for answers that protects their policy or upholds their policy, right? So however you answer, whatever your answer is, you just make sure that you are positioned to protect the organization and to keep a positive reputation. So you're going to have to choose a time where, maybe not everybody goes through an experience where they're not as tolerant. Don't choose that one. Choose one where you are actually challenged, but continue to be tolerant. So pick a situation where you can say that the timing wasn't great, there was shortage in the help around the office, but you overcame it. You must always share a story where you overcome the problem. Okay, I know this is just glosses over it, but if you want help, Danielle or anyone else, if you want to work on interview skills, reach out to Career Services, and we will pair you with the right industry coach. Okay, let's see. Is it typical to have 3 interviews for a position? I've had 2 so far and I'm waiting for 3rd. I am hearing that more and more. And just because you make it to the 3rd interview, doesn't always mean that you are going to be chosen. What I'm finding is these 2nd interview, 3rd interview usually are for more complex positions, and they're really trying to assess if you have the right experience or the right fit. And they may even ask you to do a demo for them. So is it typical? I would say no, but is it common? No, but is it a practice that I'm seeing more and more? Yes. And again, it depends on the industry. Okay. All right. So Adelia, let's see. Tell me something bad about yourself. I think we just covered that. Let's see here. And again, this is going to be available. The recording is going to be available on YouTube, so you can always play this back. Let's see here. As a new grad with no experience, what do you tell the employer as your skill? You've had focus your answers to your career history. You have to have some, if you've had some kind of career history, that is what you're going to focus on. This is more specific to you. Yutunde, reach out to Career Services, okay? See here. Let's see, what was that? I hired 40 plus people at my last role, and we did 3 to 4 interviews. Okay, phone screening, hiring manager, and team interviews. Sometimes a 4th interview for higher level is positions. Excellent. Yes, I think so too. Okay. Diane, how to get employers to consider me when I do not have any work experience in the particular domain I am applying for, knowing how much importance employers accord hands on experience. Internships are hard to come by. Okay, that is like the $1 million question. How do I get somebody to hire me when I don't know exactly what I would be doing? And so the competition is always tough. Gain experience through volunteer work. Volunteering for nonprofits, you're able to find organizations, be upfront with them, tell them that you are looking to gain experience in a specific area. Like, for example, if you want to work in healthcare, check out your local free clinic. If you're looking to work in management, look for opportunities with nonprofit organizations, because organizations, every organization, if they're selling a service or a product, is a business. So you're going to find positions very similar to a corporate structure. Okay. And again, a degree is great, it's an academic degree. However, it does not count as a substitute for experience. Ideally, you want to set yourself up to have some experience, and whether paid or unpaid, it doesn't matter, it counts. And then you complement that with your degree. And that's what gives you a solid background as far, because you have the knowledge because of your degree, but then the hands-on experience you'll get from volunteering. Okay. And then some of you may also have what I call a parallel resume. If you have a hobby or volunteer work and you've been doing it for a long time, I challenge you to create, and if you want to pivot, I challenge you to create a resume for that particular position and see exactly how strong you are. I've done this before with a few students, and they were very surprised that they actually had solid experience. And again, experience doesn't have to be paid. It all counts, right? And I think that is all the questions I have in the chat. So I thank you guys for joining me today. Again, this is going to be recorded and available on the APUS Career Services YouTube channel. If you have specific questions and need assistance, reach out to Career Services at APUS. Just include your student ID, and we will pair and tell us what it is that you're looking for. We will pair you with the industry coach for your degree. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.